Spider-Man. He is my favorite Marvel character. A lot of Marvel characters I found out about as a kid was basically reading when they transported themselves over into the Spider-Verse, so to speak. I love Spider-Man. I love the Spider-Man Omnis. Today on the channel, we are going to be looking at the amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 2 with this iconic cover. It is going out of print. Stay tuned. We're going to go through this page by page and break it down. All right. I remembered to say it this time. Today we're going to be looking at the Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus number 2. Yes, this is the iconic cover I went with. Spider-Man with the Green Goblin. He's got Peter trapped. He knows he's Spider-Man. No one saw him flying over anywhere, but I guess that was before drones and cameras and everything. But the reason I wanted to do this is it is out of print. Now, I'm not saying it won't be reprinted. It probably will. But keep in mind, part 1 or volume 1 just got reprinted. So if number 2 is going to get reprinted, you're probably going to be waiting about a year. Some places still have this. Why don't we take a quick look at it? Because you don't want to hear me talk for about 50 minutes going over it. Let's take a quick look at Amazing Spider-Man Omni, Volume 2. Here it is, the Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2 Omnibus. This one is out of print. You can still kind of find it. You got to look around. This one's got the iconic cover here with Spidey and the Green Goblin both unmasked, like all Marvel Omnis. Tells you number 2. Back is going to tell you all the issues that are collected, which this one collects Amazing Spider-Man 39 through 67, Annual 3, 4, and 5, and Spectacular Spider-Man 1 and 2. Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man Omni is coming out very soon. Let's take this off. I'm doing this one because it's getting harder to find, and I don't want you to miss out. I want you to see all the goodness. They just reprinted 1, so it's a no-brainer they'll eventually reprint 2, but like I said, you can still find it in a few places, so don't miss your chance. But here it is. We're gonna crack this open, and I'll go through some of the highlights. I know you don't want me to talk forever, but it does start out, it's got your content. It does start out with that iconic Spider-Man number 39, where they're, How Green Was My Goblin, where they're both unmasked. Little technical difficulty. Green Goblin's going out. This is one of the most iconic stories. Here's Spidey. I'm not going to go through this page by page. It would take forever. He's beating up some random goons. Green Goblin's been following him. And, he knows. The spider sense, Green Goblin's found a way to kind of get around it. But as you can see, Goblin knows now that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. He comes out and they start to battle. But he's not wearing his costume, so he has no web shooters. Aunt May's in the house. This is in front of it. He dodges for about as long as he can until he gets zapped. And here, one of the more, you can see this. It's been made into figures, statues. Goblin kidnaps him, takes him back to his lair, and he says, I'm going to tell you who I am. I'm Norman Osborn. He's Harry's buddy. Does reprint, or he's Harry's dad. Harry's his buddy. Does reprint, like I said, the everything in it. Your next station in the back. He's Parker's got a plan. He wants to get out, and he kind of tells his origin story here about how he was taunted by his boss. He made this chemical, kind of gave him some strength, also made him a complete lunatic. Everybody wants to know where Peter is, but he's been jacking around them. Now he doesn't have the web swingers, but he's got to do his hand-to-hand. Well, now I take that back. He does have his web swingers now because the costume was underneath. For some reason, he didn't use it in the beginning, which we don't know why. But, yeah, he carried the whole costume with all the gimmick underneath. They have their big fight. He cracks him one right into the one of the generators I wear. And the Goblin now has amnesia. So he doesn't know who he is anymore. Peter gets away. And, Harry and his dad, he's watching him. Aunt May's like, where were you, Peter? She thinks he's sick because he's a little hot. And, that's where you learned who the Green Goblin was. Here we've got the The Rhino, another good story. You also have JJ's son in it. Rhino's looking for something he brought back from space. Like I said, I'm not doing if I did this overly detailed, you'd be listening to me babble for about 45 minutes because these Omnis are so big. That's got the battle with the Rhino. It's also got where Peter buys his motorcycle. Yeah, that's right. He had a little moped-like motorcycle. And Matt Murdock, you know, the Daredevil. And now the Rhino. Rhino's busted out. Rhino is primarily an X-Men villain, but in the old days, he popped up at Spidey a lot. He got the pictures. He's impressing the girl with his junk motorcycle. And, you know, he just keeps hitting on her. Now, we're going to go to the king-size special, the Amazing Spider-Man Annual. And this is where he's kind of messing around with the Avengers. I'll kind of key through this. Not messing around with them, but he's been with them. It's just thinking someday he's going to believe. Then we go back to issue 44, The Lizard Returns. Doc Connors, one of my favorite villains, hence why I have a big lizard statue. You know, he's everybody knows it's Kurt Connors. Spidey's got to go after him because Kurt Connors really doesn't have a lot of MO other than, well, he has none. Excuse me. Excuse me. I'd edit that out, but I'm lazy. Some more of the ads. Continues his battle with the lizard. His arm's in a sling because the lizard, you know, did whoop his ass pretty good. The lizard has beaten Spider-Man pretty good a few times. As I continue to kind of thumb through, this is the lizard story. And now we've got our next one, number 46, The Sinister Shocker. I've always liked the Shocker. I always think he's a very cool character. I love this classic. You know, in the backstory, you know, he's working for the Daily Bugle. He's dating Mary Jane now. He's still friends with Harry, whose dad has amnesia. Just all kinds of backstory. He's got his motorcycle, so he's not a big dork anymore, although he sort of is. Harry's got his own place. He's kind of hanging out with Harry. Now one of my favorite villains, who I'm anxious to see finally in a movie, we've got Kraven the Hunter. You know, he finds out the goblin's dead, and so Kraven is on the hunt now. He wants Norman Osborn's kid. You know, he feels he's been double-crossed. Him and Spidey have the big battle. And, you know, then not much it. Vulture comes back. Spidey had a lot of villains. Unfortunately, I think they were a little heavy in the beginning of some of them coming back after so many issues. But that's okay. You know, it all sets up for later. Here's the Vulture, the Spider-Man. He's really not feeling that good. He's a little sick. You know, he got a little case of the flu. So it's kind of messing with him a little bit. And that's why it needs to be continued. If you notice, a lot of these tend to be continued. Kraven here busted out of the clink because he was only arrested for a little bit. Peter's still sick, but he can't be sick for too long because you got the Vulture and Kraven both doing shenanigans, although they're not friendly with each other. But it leads to the big three-way dance, so to speak, which Peter wins. Issue 50, the iconic Spider-Man No More. Aunt May's not feeling good. Took Aunt May forever to die, you know. Everybody's calling him a menace. He figures, you know, screw this. I'm throwing this in the trash. Somebody gives it to JJ. He's all happy, and crime starts to run a little rampant. But that's okay, because now Peter, he's messing around with Felicia. He's messing, Gwen Stacy. He never did really mess around with Felicia, I don't think. But now Felicia the Black Cat. I don't know. Anyway, I'm thinking Betty Brant. And now he's messing around with Gwen Stacy. He's messing around with Mary Jane because he's got his motorcycle and he's all cool, even though crime's on the loose. But he figures out, I can't let the crime be on the loose. Great power, great responsibility. So he busts into JJ's outfit and takes his suit back. Step ahead here by John Romita. And the Kingpin is here. You know, this is, as I flip through, he's still cruising on. I can't get over how poorly drawn Peter's motorcycle is. But, you know, the Kingpin was a Spidey villain, beat his ass. And the Kingpin's got to him and JJ. You know, Kingpin don't like the press. They're letting him in on telling about his dirty dealings. So, Kingpin and Spidey and JJ, they're all in it here. And it always would tell you, here we got another annual. This is where he's with the Human Torch. As I skipped through it. Human Torch was never one of my favorites. Although I did like the two of them together. They had good banter. And now we cut in. I hope I didn't skip a page. No, it's still Spider-Man and the Torch. There's Mysterio. Like I said, they worked good together because they were both a couple of smartasses. Annuals were double-sized, hence why it's taking me forever to go through this thing. There's Flash is back in town from the army. What Spider-Man wears, kind of goes you over his things. Some of the talent that he has, you know, his powers. And this, you know, his favorite villains. A visit to his apartment. And now we're at issue 50, Doc Ock's back. Yeah, Flash is back. You know, he's kind of checking out Gwen Stacy. Flash is not a bully anymore. I'm thinking something happened to him in the army that he was taken care of. Draw your own conclusion. But he's nicer now. And Doc Ock is not nice. And, you know, it did continue. And more Doc Ock. Doc Ock has befriended Aunt May. Just using his normal persona of an old man with a bowl haircut. And he's got goons. And Spider-Man and Doc Ock are there. Aunt May passes out. Oh, that May... she was at a panic attack, and apparently if she has another panic attack, it's fatal. And Doc Ock's back in it. Aunt May's resting from the panic attack. Peter's still juggling the two women. Peter became the Daddy Mac of Mac Daddies after this. More Doc Ock. This story went on frickin' forever. I'm not saying it's a bad story, but as you can see, it's eaten up a lot of issues. And now we've got Kazar popping up in this issue. Aunt May, that panic attack, still got her all messed up beyond belief. Kazar in here. Kazar's a good guy, you know, him and Spidey, you know, blah, blah, blah. This went on for a few issues, too. And, and they're friends. Yeah, you know how that goes. And now the brand of the brainwasher, using his brainwashing skills. And MJ likes to disco dance a lot. She later became a model, and even though they still lived in poverty. And the Kingpin showed up at the end, and the Kingpin is back for a big battle with Spider-Man. And all kinds of weird stuff happening there. Aunt May's new boyfriend, which makes no sense. And, well, I don't think we need to tell you things don't know good. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. Will Gwen and her father, and I apologize, that wasn't Aunt May's boyfriend. That's Captain Stacy, who's been introduced. It's Gwen Stacy's dad, who is he's a detective, but unlike Commissioner Gordon or Bullock, he's not a bumbling detective. It doesn't take him that long to figure out the Peter Parker Spider-Man. There's Peter fighting the Kingpin, and he saves the day. He saves both of them. And now we're coming into Medusa. Yes, she has crazy hair, and she uses her crazy hair as a weapon. That lazy hag Aunt May's still laying in bed. Boy, one panic attack took her out for a year. I'll tell you what. I guess back then they didn't have Xanax. And Spectacular Spider-Man, you know, this was kind of cool. This was an old black and white that they threw in there. It's so cool. I'm flipping through it hastily. Like you see, you get a lot in here. A whole lot. A ton. Come on, end of stuff. Back in now. Vulture's back. And, you know, Peter's doing his Vult. Now there's two Vultures, because the one, you know, I don't know. He'll have to read it. But the Vulture's in it again. Like I said, all these Spidey stories seem to go anywhere from 2 was the standard. Sometimes you'd get 5, 6 issues where it was all the same. But not all. You're standing up. There comes the jailbreak. Peter here. At the end of the last issue, are they gonna throw him in jail? Well, they did put him in jail, but they didn't take his mask off because it's all a setup. But he's Spider-Man, so it doesn't really take him long to get out of any kind of trouble, which he does. Mysterio, the old school with the fishbowl head, is back in this issue. And now Peter, he's kind of forgotten about Mary Jane. He's kind of with Gwen Stacy now, which that's okay. You know, now we're going to go into part 2 of Mysterio there at the carnival as I speed faster and faster through this. I think you get the point. I don't ever want to bore people. Here's the Green Goblin is back in this particular storyline because you can only be in a coma for so long. You don't have amnesia. Both things I've only ever seen in movies. I still believe those are both plot points for films as opposed to real life. But who am I to know? I don't know. I've just never met anyone with it. That was a pretty big one there. The next issue number, now we're going to another king size annual. Spidey again. Red Skull's in here, all kinds of crazy villains. This is a really good book. I can't say it's not. More Spidey stuff. Got the Not Brand Eck in there. It's got a lot of good stuff. That was pretty funny. And then we're getting in with some original cover art. Now in full color. You know, the second issue on sale. Spectacular. That's a really nice one. That's a Romita cover. I like all those. You know, you get quite a bit in here. Original artwork, original covers. I would highly recommend you get this book before it's gone, and that way you don't have to wait like 2 years for another print. Great story. I like Volume 1 a little better, I won't lie. The stories in this are very good. It's leading up to the whole iconic, you know, spoiler alert, Gwen Stacy dying, you know, broken neck. Captain Stacy saying, hey, I always knew you were Spider-Man, blah, blah, blah. Morbius. That's all leading up in part 3, which is out. I have part 3. I can always cover it. But this is 2, like I said. I think Amazon still has some left. I know Big Bad has some left. Get one now. If you don't, you're going to be waiting a while because for some odd reason, when these things go out of print, they skyrocket in price. Even though it's kind of common sense they're going to get reprinted, people don't want to wait. Like I said, Volume 1, which I reviewed on this channel, just got the reprint a few months ago. So for this one to go back in circulation, it's going to take a while. A few places still have it. Just go and get yours today before they're all gone. And we'll be back again, maybe not right next time, but eventually we're going to do number 3. I want you to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.